All right, pick up some trash. Trash it. Look at this. We're all stars. That's it. There will be many situations in growing my grandpa that will require you to pick things up, place things, grab things, or give things. Don't be afraid to experiment and keep an open mind about using your hand. I don't know that I love that. Infinite thanks to my patrons for believing in me and my work. Signed, Yames. Let's grow a grandpa, gang. Cool. It's week 1. I excused Adrienne during music class today and spoke with her about her recent string of demerits. It was our first time meeting outside of our quarterly evaluations, and I believe it went well. I can certainly understand Mrs. Richardson's classroom observations concerning Adrienne's emotional state. She was, of course, intensely shy when we first met. As I understand it, she is similarly withdrawn in her classroom activities and only speaks her acts when she absolutely must. Some things she simply will not do. Instead of participating in mandatory group activities, she will sit alone and accept that she will receive a demerit. Before the meeting, I read Mrs. Richardson's parent-teacher report, which allowed me to estimate some about Adrienne's home life. The parents are well educated and come from a prestigious background, but they lack time to properly nurture Adrienne. She is often alone, and when she is not, the parents seem to not understand the importance of warmth and affection when dealing with someone so young. So are we going to grow this girl's grandpa? Having 2 parents of this reserved and icy temperament exacts an inhibition in a child. The child's imagination is subdued, but only ostensibly, for it eventually finds its way into regular life. I surmised that I would be able to reach out to Adrienne by way of make-believe. How are you liking your new house? You've told me you used to live close by, but it still can be a big adjustment. A new room, a new school. The basement. I like that. The basement? Yeah. Well, there's a lot of cool stuff. Mom and Dad sent me down there. Stop that voice right now. Nope, we're going with it. It's gonna happen. Your mom and dad made you go? Yeah, but there's lots of cool stuff. Well, that's not why they sent me down there, though. Why did they send you down there? Fighting. They were fighting. Shouting. I came in to help and they shouted at me. They said, go clean up downstairs. So I went. That sounds tough. Do they fight a lot? No. Well, they, it's all right, Adrienne. Maybe you can tell me more about the basement instead. Oh, okay. Well, it was weird at first. Stuff down there. But cool. I found something living, sort of. That's very interesting, Adrienne. Please tell me more. By indulging her in her fantasies, not fantasies. Nope, sorry. By indulging her in her fantasies and stories, I was to glean more of an understanding of Adrienne's anxiety surrounding her home and parents. The symbols of Adrienne's story seem to carry their own traumatic weight, and her exploration of the basement may very well be a vehicle for the conveyance of her anxiety. Whatever might come out of our next meeting, whether she will engage in similar make-believe, I will set her story down here. Adrienne's story begins with her delving into the basement with a trash receptacle and the goal of cleaning up. She discovered one of the walls was covered in plastic bags. She went to investigate, intent on tearing away whatever they covered. What? Oh boy. Do I move? Oh, I have to click the items. I see. MLG level precise clicking incoming. This basement's gonna get clean so fast. Upon removing the plastic trash bags from the wall, she noticed their interior lining was covered in glass. Like a window, I offered. No, she said. Like a mirror. Reflecting inwards towards the animal they covered. I gently asked her what animal exactly this was, Here is where the material reality? I don't know why I had such a hard time reading that word. Where the material reality of the story took a turn for the explicitly fantastic and imaginary. Okay. Upon her discovery of it at her gaze, it grew, or extended, its shaggy-haired self. Hair like fur, like a dog, I offered. No, she said. Not the fur of a dog, nor the hair on her head. It grew out towards her, the animal's hair, reaching out. It was hard, standing almost straight, like the hair on a brush. A bristle, I offered. Yes, she said. She was very afraid at first, but then very curious. I asked her what else was in the room. More things hidden away, she said. Things of Grandpa's as well. First, she found a hidden passage under the stairs. Inside were strange dolls. Aww. Magic objects. Naked, faceless figures. I heard these cryptic utterances and merely nodded. In order to keep the game of make-believe going, I only pressed for details where I thought necessary. The faceless dolls could be a simple metaphor for the anonymity she feels in her own home. The hidden passage, I am unsure of what to make of that. The revealing of the concealed seems to be thematic in her fantasy. The door under the stairs is but one example. All right, let's go to a door under the stairs. So we don't know what this is. I don't like that it has like a single weird glowing eye. Trash pile. Guys, we gotta clean trash. Nope, that's not what we gotta do. Secret. I don't know how to get into the secret stairwell. The darkness of the shadowy corner unnerves you. You cannot explore here without some form of light. Okay. The art style for so this is supposed to like shake a little bit with the shader applied, but it's a really neat look regardless. But I don't see a way to interact. Oh, I have to, okay. I gotta remember that, like, I really only have two ways to interact. Once she removed the panel and found the magical hidden passage, she was very specific about what she took. She found a magic book, a magic doll, a photo of her late grandpa, and magic glue. Fuck. Okay, that's important. We'll come back to that. I don't know what's happening. I'd like the trash can a little more middle-y. There's my magic glue. I see you up there. All clean. The space will not be dirty again until next week. Here's my glue. All-purpose glue. Papers crudely bound together to form a book. The impetus of this research was the recognition of a particular pattern in fragments of documents relating to magic and magical religious practices. Numerous sources were drawn from commentaries on laws relating to the banning of sorcery and necromancy, compilations of folk charms relating to love spells, hagiographs of saints. Did I say that right? Hagiographs of saints and their encounters with devils. The list spans many centuries and a great distance, from the Levant to the Kaganate? I almost got it. To the border of the modern nation states of Russia and Kazakhstan today. From this paper trail arose a consistent account about a certain form of magic relating to the binding of demons to a sorcerer's will. A demon called the Heaven of Needles, or the Angel of Needles, was known to be kept best by shamanistic keepers or wards who suffer from face blindness, whether by birth or through developmental causes like a stroke or head injury. It was known to be extremely effective but terribly dangerous, so much so that it became outlawed several times and was generally a popular scapegoat relating to unexpected death. This nexus of magical religious meaning-making sorcery regarding human-related desires, and the history and science of neurological disorders related to the fusiform gyrus. Is where the subject of this dissertation will reside. I will outline further and then analyze the historical sources I mentioned previously. Then I will go into the neurology of mystic and magical religious experiences. After that, I will detail my ongoing correspondence with a resident of the Ural Mountain region who is an expert folklorist and keeper of traditions he claims have been passed down through his extended family for generations. So is that like something Grandpa wrote? Hi, Grandpa. Does say PhD on his photograph there. My man's got a Waluigi mustache too. On the reverse side, oh, Mr. PhD. On the reverse side of the photograph, there's more text. Good luck on your trip to the Urals. Stay warm. All right. Take a dolly. A slouching doll. Its material is rough and coarse. I hate it. I interrupted to ask her what she did with these magical, mysterious materials. Grow Grandpa, she explained plainly. And then without missing a beat, she continued on with her story. Feeling this was a potent symbol, I stopped her again to ask what she meant. Somewhat puzzled, I did not understand immediately. She explained slowly. Grandpa lives in the cage in the other room, the cage behind the door. They grew people in the cage. I didn't. A hastily written note. I have repeatedly called your homes to no avail, and so I am forced to leave this here for you all. I found William sitting in the corner of the enclosure area, seemingly severely concussed. Whiskers was gone, which sounds like the thing in the basement, in none of its usual hiding places. I immediately suspected the worst. The project thus must be suspended for now. I'm leaving up the usual mirrored coverings we use to keep the anthropoidic void sealed. Jesus. I've done my best to lock up everything on such short notice. It is a hasty fix, but it will require some time to find a more permanent remedy. I am honestly hoping you do not find this note, as I intend to lock the house down too. I intend to race off to you to retrieve your lockbox keys. Do not worry about William's key. It and the rest of his equipment is almost certainly deep within Whiskers now. What? I pray you do not enter this room. No matter how it may appear, William cannot be helped and is only being kept alive as a means of continuing predation on the rest of us. I will say once again, no matter what state you may encounter William in, he cannot be helped. I have compassion for the young man, but I found on his person several photos of his late sister, which would imply certain risks he knew he was taking. Our extant research materials have now become possible liabilities, either criminally or professionally in nature, so I have stashed them away. I believe I let you know how I might do this if we were ever to experience an event such as this. I hope you all remember what I told you. So long then. Dr. H. We are not supposed to enter this room, but this clearly says enter. Beyond the door, in the room, the cage was hidden, concealed in another cloak of inward-facing mirrors. This is so fucking disturbing. A hidden cage lined with mirrors. It is strange, almost poetic, the elaborate fantasy of self-reflection, concealment, and captivity. I love how the psychiatrist does not realize this is all legit. At the cage, she finally cast her spell. But it was confusing, she confided, at first. She took the magic doll, the magic glue, and the photo of her grandpa, and she combined them. And she wished very hard. I can only assume in this fantasy that next her wish would come true. In what child's story would it not? All right, wait. I have confusion. So I have glue. We need a particular human representation, which will be our grandpa photo. We need a... Wait, what was this? A generic human figure. That'll be our doll. Let's glue them together. Why is that so cursed? No, no, no. A tangible symbol of tension and desire. Oh, this is awful. She put Grandpa in the cage, assuming that was part of the ritual. She was not clear on how it worked. What precise instructions she could glean from her grandfather's magic book was complicated by her reading comprehension. Apparently mine as well. She wished with all her heart, and then she told me she waited a while for something, anything to happen. And after that time, she began to cry. I cried really hard, she said. I wanted Grandpa to be back. I wanted my parents to stop being so mean. And it hurt me. It heard me wish for Grandpa to come back and for my parents to be different. I could feel it through the walls, and it felt me through the air. I asked her what exactly she meant. She could only repeat what she said. By this time, lunch was almost over. I said goodbye to Adrienne, and she left to rejoin her class. I was left to consider our conversation. I believe the storytelling strategy I have employed was not unfruitful, but I must probe deeper if I can. I don't know. This might be a good place for you to stop, homie. Although I can be sure of nothing I interpret, the impressions I get may begin to help me get an idea of the right questions to ask. Knowledge you acquired this week has given you access to certain topics or keywords that you can discuss with Grandpa. What? You have gained the conversation topic wish. Consider discussing this when Grandpa emerges. You have also gained the keyword shell. I hate the concept of Grandpa emerges. I met again with Adrienne in order to address her emotional outbursts in the past few weeks. It is our second time meeting, and while it is a standard practice to have multiple sessions with a troubled student, as I assembled a report, I misread something there. As I assembled a report for the counseling department, I could not help but think, as we sat down in my office, that Adrienne already seemed to show a remarkable change in self-esteem and confidence, and perhaps my and Mrs. Richardson's estimation of her as emotionally disturbed was erroneous. The paralyzing shyness and withdrawn attitude Adrienne possessed last week was not entirely diminished, but she seemed to hold herself differently this week. However, this only lasted as long as our conversation pertained to initial introductory pleasantries. When I began once again asking about her parents, her feelings regarding her new school and her new home, she quickly lost what new confidence she had gathered and withdrew again into herself. So once again, I partook in some collaborative make-believe, but this time I was aided by the fact that I had managed to do some research into Adrienne's grandfather, and I had some insight into what she might actually be finding in the basement. Now, this may be overstepping my bounds some as school counseling caseworker, but this was all in the service of making Adrienne comfortable and happy in this learning environment. In any case, I was able to dig up information regarding the grandfather by inquiring at the university in town. Not that I make it a habit of sleuthing, but I had a suspicion that grandfather was a professor there, or at least some sort of researcher, due to the fact that the newly constructed laboratory on the campus I drove by every day bears his name and memorial. He was some sort of anthropologist, or linguist, or neuroscientist. I did not have to dig that deep before the scope of his work became dizzying, and I ran up against the limits of my undergraduate education. But back to the make-believe. What is your grandpa like? Is he a smart man? Not anymore. But I'm teaching him. So he's grown a good deal then? You've been feeding him well? Yeah. He's getting bigger. But he has a lot of room in his cage. He's still behind the bars? Yeah, well, he might be able to climb out eventually. There's this vent in the ceiling. Well, perhaps if he climbs out, I could meet him someday. Yeah, maybe. But he's not ready to leave. He can't take care of himself. I have to feed him, pick up after him. Ah, you store the food in your lunchbox? That's nice of you to share. He can cannot speak with him? He doesn't have a mouth, sort of. But how do you feed him? He has a mouth on the outside, on his shell, or the stuff that is his skin. I'm a little confused. Maybe you can go through a typical day with your grandpa. Okay. I asked her to explain how exactly she goes about growing her grandpa, and Adrienne began to tell another tale. According to Adrienne, in the week that had passed, much had changed in the basement. Well, I have a lot of experience of growing purely incorrect eldritch horrors in my basement. Ah, okay, so Whiskers moved. The hairy thing that was here before is gone. We have our lunchbox over here. You should go see Grandpa first. Grandpa, I'm home. Wait, are these more notes? Oh, shit. Later at the study corner. All right, let's grab all these and we'll read them once we know what a study corner is. I probably should have read them ahead of time. Grandpa. Wake Grandpa. Oh my God. It was scary at first, she said, the way he moved, the way the doll's skin covered him. I wanted to interject. This somehow seemed inappropriate, but I kept listening. When I look at him, she continued, when I think about him, he grows and moves. It's like he's growing from me. So he's growing bigger now, I asked. Yes, she said. Bigger every day. What have we done? Oh. This begins the actual growing part of growing your grandpa. Beneath the doll's burlap skin, the follicles knit together what resembles a proper person. Your grandpa. You are in charge of its cognitive development and diet until it is able to sustain itself. Currently, you are observing Grandpa. Please click the arrow back button below for a brief tutorial of your duties as a caretaker. Hi, Grandpa. You look real good, bud. Here we can see a variety of options regarding growing your grandpa. Highlighted in red are objectives related to feeding and teaching Grandpa. Important messages regarding Grandpa's recent activity will also appear here. You will need to find it food and learning material before you can move on to the next week. Some foods will make Grandpa happy, others merely content. Some food will make Grandpa disgusted to the point of nausea. Learning material is also scattered throughout the basement. Seek out vocabulary cards intended to help teach English and basic anthropodic concept information. The options highlighted in red are related to navigating around Grandpa's enclosure. The Go to Grandpa option will let you perform all actions directly relating to Grandpa, feeding, teaching, observing, and etc. Accessing the Study Corner will let you go over any documents you pick up as the weeks go by. It's a good idea to learn about the work of the people who last occupied this space. Accessing the Kitchen Corner will let you search for food in the old refrigerator and prepare food for Grandpa if need be. The Help button will replay this tutorial, and the Save Game button will save your current progress. You can only have one save file at a time. Exiting and relaunching the game will allow you to load your... Okay, we're going to do this in one go, so we're fine with that. More buttons may or may not appear here depending on your development of Grandpa, so watch out for them. One final note, take care to explore the basement at your leisure. However, due to the entropic nature of clutter and trash, different weeks may allow you to find things you had not previously discovered. Good luck. Okay. That's kind of a lot. We should probably look over our documents. So the magic book we read, hastily written note we read, orientation. For the sake of university policy and the health of any future career you hope to have, you will abide by the non-disclosure contract you have signed. Do not break the anthropoidic vacuum without my prior consultation and approval. Any anthropoidic forms brought into the enclosure area must not be left unattended. When not in dormancy, the sample will attempt to take anthropoid shells. Please see shell notes for more on that. Okay, so we got to keep it attended. The sample's exposure to some of our neuronal activity is unavoidable. However, the speed at which its desirous yield what is produced can be dampened by several precautions regarding libidinal and emotional urges. Oh, libidinal. Okay. Keep conversation not related to lab work to a minimum. If you begin to suspect you are developing attachments to your colleagues, contact me as soon as possible. So we got to stay like as attached as or detached as we can. Ritual behavior with the sample, trading, bargaining, will result in dismissal from the project. The precise mechanism of the exchange of symbols and gifts required for a requested desirous yield is not known, and even then, anecdotal accounts of success are illegible. End in violent death. Cool. Regarding growth cycles, every time Whiskers regenerates and leaves dormancy, it is to be logged as a new propagation. The sample's bodily existence cannot be illegible, i.e., a part cannot be cut from the whole, so there can only be one living propagation. Propagations are to be terminated after 5 weeks. Any further development puts us at risk. Termination procedures will be posted and followed with extreme care. With all of that out of the way, I want to welcome you to the project. I look forward to working with you. Dr. Hart. Okay. Educational poster. We don't need any of that nonsense. We've got disposal and interment papers. The researcher will seal off the enclosure bars, ensuring minimal gas leak during later fumigation process, and then retrieve the burn barrel and place it near the enclosure. Allow at least 48 hours of time where the current growth cycle experiences no human-related stimuli. Do not enter the enclosure area nor any part of the basement. Ideally, you will not be on the grounds at all. After 48 hours, 2 researchers will enter the basement wearing their assigned mirror mask, mirror apron, and powered air purifying respirator. The researcher will use the vent system to fumigate the enclosed area. Wait 30 minutes and then use the fan system to ventilate the enclosure. Keep the fans running during steps 3 through 4. Re-enter the enclosure area wearing your assigned mirror masks and aprons. The organism may or may not be in complete dormancy. If it is not in full dormancy, be assured that its capacity to act against you will be greatly diminished. With your assigned powered drills, quickly remove any enclosure bars needed to access the organism. Put them aside for later reinstallation. Put the organism into the burn barrel. Incinerate the organism thoroughly. There's something really fucked up about incinerate thoroughly. Wait for any smoke to be properly cleared by the fan system. Turn off the fans. One researcher will retrieve the nucleus from the ash and place it in the mirror box. The other researcher will sift through the ash and place any other substantial remains in the biohazard bin in the room outside of the enclosure area. The bin is locked for safety purposes. The code is 323245. The researchers will fill out a termination form and leave it for Dr. Hart. 323245. All right. We're going to look at those other ones in a second too. I want to go look around the basement a little bit. Slouching under the weight of rot and refuse. Well, what if I could fix that? Yep, just cleaning up some trash. What did I find as a result? Blueberries. Hey, I don't know how old these blueberries are. I hope Grandpa doesn't mind. The art style is so disturbing just by, oh my God, there's like doll parts just by the merit of it being like descript enough to give you shape and form, but not descript enough to give you detail. Ooh, an account of an acquisition. Before we begin, he had us all cover our faces completely. An earthenware pot was illegible, and on the inside, as we stole brief glances at it, we could see that the interior was inlaid with mirrors. The illegible gave it small pieces of dough, spoiled food, chicken feed, illegible, keeping it content. The keeper gestured towards the small bag where the food composted and told us to be careful not to feed it any meat. I asked if the rotting food was enough to sustain it, how it might get nutrients from any of this. The keeper regarded me seriously and said it did not matter what it was fed. The act of feeding itself was what mattered. The act of feeding itself was what mattered. The act of feeding flesh is another act, however. He then gave me another series of grave warnings regarding not keeping any animal-derived foods near where I might be keeping it. Okay, no meat. This is a key, so this is not the thing they were talking about that has the passcode. Something about the painting looks strange. Well, why don't we search the painting? Got him. A folder full of radiographic images. Interesting. It did not say this space is clean. All right, we found a thing. What is creating this trash down here? What do we got here? Fiberglass insulation. This isn't really food. Grandpa might eat it, however. All right. What else we got? Another trash pile. The waste here smells particularly strong. Oh, it's strong waste time. We got a little paper doll over there, it looks like. I want to see the speed run. Guys, should I become a growing my grandpa speedrunner? A simple paper doll. This might be useful in the construction of magic symbols. Okay. Okay. We apparently don't need to go below the stairs anymore. The hairy thing that was here before is gone. Why does it still let me... Interesting. Okay. Trash. Bulbous growth? It's so cursed. Alright, we finding all the goodies. Oh. Corroded battery. Grandpa might eat it. Linguistics module. It is a vocabulary chart for hello. Teach Grandpa this word to read the notes of past educators. Intriguing. Something appears to be growing from the wall. You take a closer look. A pulsating sac. The slimy membrane that is its skin seems to contain something. It might be able to be opened with a blade. I like how they immediately transitioned back to like game concept. All right. Let's search these filing cabinets. I want to kind of get all of our exploration stuff done, and then we can decide what we're going to do with Grandpa for the week. I bet it would pop. I don't think it would. It didn't look like it was under that much pressure. I bet you'll just make an incision and it will slowly leak fluid. Cashews. Oh, Grandpa might like that. An account of an acquisition. It was said to pass from one family of steppe people to another, but pressed on its ultimate origin, illegible, somewhere to the south, coiled in a bowl covered in incantations, buried upside down by a graveyard, a common late antiquity demon trap. The keeper, an elderly man in failing health, was ready to expound on and on about the dangers of the organism. but when I asked more pointed questions about the history of its acquisition, I was given curt responses that had a way of circling back to vague warnings. Grandpa. Oh, we can teach it its name. Teach Grandpa this word to read the notes of past educators. Okay. Guys, we're going to have the most well-spoken Grandpa. Like, seriously. There are going to be people who think they're smart until they talk to Grandpa, and then they're going to walk away from the conversation and be like, fuck, I'm a dummy. You removed the tape-down fabric to reveal the cabinet's wooden bottom. A note regarding cleanup procedures. To my colleagues, I don't mean to be overly severe in tone, but Dr. Hart's work is very important, and the material we are working with is potentially very dangerous. I will be handing out a copy of this note as a reminder to everyone. I am not trying to single any particular person out. We all have misconceptions about the nature of this project from time to time. With that out of the way, here are some things to keep in mind. 1. The active growth must be thoroughly terminated via the correct procedures at the very least 4 weeks after dormancy is interrupted. It doesn't matter what you've done or haven't done regarding tests or procedures, or how much the anthropoidic vacuum has been disrupted. We are not ready to go beyond 4 weeks at this point. A step-by-step guide to termination has been posted by the enclosure wall. Please, please, please do not place the educational posters over this posting. 2. Do not disrupt the anthropoidic vacuum without Dr. Hart's prior consultation and approval. In case of any emergency where the vacuum is disrupted, put on your equipment and begin the lockdown procedure. Make an extensive note of when and how the breach occurred. 3. If you find the habitat empty, page Dr. Hart immediately, but do not attempt to speak with anyone else. This thing can get very smart. I'm sure you're all well aware from the stories we heard on our acquisition trip. The greatest caution should be used when dealing with a potentially aggressive mimicry scenario. Please seek me out if you have any more questions. From William. Notation regarding sample exoskeletons. What the fuck? Research participants, please take note. Each growth from a cycle does not require a shell, but you may find the sample will often try and seize on something somewhat flexible it can grow into, along with any desirous yield it may generate. In the small amount of time I've spent with it in preparation, I have noticed it tends towards human forms. However, we should keep a tight lid on the anthropoidic seal in order to be cautious before we begin to experiment with exposing it to long-term anthropoid stimuli. From Dr. Hart. Okay. You slip the radiographic images you found onto the machine's display. Power. Oh, what? Propagation number 21. Day 19 after dormancy, so a little after 2 weeks. Anthropoidic vacuum broken was a yes. So this is after the anthropoidic vacuum was broken. That looks normal. Termed at 21 days. Intriguing results with regard to the mimic hypotheses. A participant entered a sealed chamber adjacent to Whiskers. I wish it wasn't called Whiskers because that's the name of our avocado tree. I don't want the name Whiskers to be cursed. Intriguing results with regard to the mimic hypothesis. A participant entered a sealed chamber adjacent to Whiskers, which had been freed from the anthropomorphic vacuum, constructed quite economically from plastic and broken mirrors. The first propagation's original earthenware vacuum was shattered during the movement. Between these was a semi-opaque glass panel that allowed observation both ways. The human participant was asked to think of someone in the popular consciousness, fictional or no, and concentrate on their image, personality, face, if possible, voice, if possible, etc. Our participant chose Jesus of Nazareth.
and with weekly repeated exposures to the participants' imaginings, propagation number 21 began forming what resembled an anthropoid Nazarene in the fold of its spines. Previous human-oriented tests have always bore out a result that Whiskers would form an anthropoid team member, be it me or Dr. Hart or Gerald, and we assumed it was merely mimicking one of us. Dr. Hart was always contended to the desirous yield, or the anthropoid reproduction Whiskers creates when in contact with human beings, has always been based on the conception and relation to the person through someone else. With this framework, the desirous yield is not actually a replica of a person, or if it is only a replica of the fiction of a person generated in the mind of another. This desirous yield was not Jesus Christ, but the participants' image of Jesus assembled from their religious upbringing, religious artwork, depictions in popular culture, etc. This radiograph was taken right before the destruction of the growth cycle, while Whiskers was rendered unconscious via fumigation. It seems like with every successive propagation, the stem cells in the organism work a little faster. But I'm not paranoid. It's technically deathless, yes, but we're burning up whatever knowledge you gained when we incinerate it. I don't believe in magic just yet.
This was a mimic Jesus that they incinerated? Oh, we got a whole bunch, huh? Ooh. Propagation number 2. So this is propagation number 2. So this is much sooner than this other guy. Day 0 after dormancy, the vacuum was broken, terminated at 6 days. So it didn't even make it to 1. We've taken to calling it Whiskers. God damn you. Though of course some have interpreted it as hair or needles or quills, but Whiskers is more accurate as the needles are really more like supersensory follicles or spines. The nerve nets distributed throughout the morphology of these spines resemble those of genus Hydra, but have myelin sheaths that are functionally the same as vertebrae. As we can see in the X-ray, each spine is laden with dense optical arrangements similar to compound eyes. What the fuck? The Hydra connection is assuredly worth investigating with regard to the organism's capacity for regeneration and anecdotal deathlessness. It certainly is a robust enough creature to inspire marvel that it is not untinged with fear. Propagation number 14, day 14 after dormancy. The anthropodic vacuum was not broken, terminated at 16 days. Exposure to mammalian forms, part of a series of zoomorphic influences, led to further understanding of the propagation's ability to simulate the somatic stem cells that constitute fully developed animals. I write simulate in the previous statement because examining the tissue of each propagation leads me to believe its amazing capacity for accelerated growth of vastly different forms comes from its cell-level mutability. And yet, at no time does it function as the thing it becomes, except in the sense that it mimics it. That is to say, when Whiskers is removed from dormancy and replicates a rabbit's morphology, it is not seeing from the rabbit's eyes or smelling from the rabbit's nose, but pretending that it does, and doing a very good job of that. Interesting. So when it changes forms, it's not changing like internal structures. It's just pretending to be that thing. Propagation number 5, day 10 after dormancy, vacuum not broken, terminated at 12 days. This radiograph was taken at or around growth cycle number 4. The strange thing about it was that the subject of the image was found nowhere near the enclosure. It's almost like a piece of Whiskers fell off and scurried into the corner. I feel like we've learned a lot since then, but at the time I remember speaking about the morphology being weird, not really even resembling any extant zoomorphic structure, besides maybe a cuttlefish. Then I happened to open the thing up. Inside were all these little dead amoeba-like things, but they all sort of looked like they had faces. Oh boy. faces that were just barely there. After I took the radiograph, I gathered it up and went to go through it in the biohazard bin. As I walked by the bars of the enclosure, I could hear Whiskers suddenly going wild, flopping around and grunting excitedly. Could it have smelled the cuttlefish thing? Would it eat its own production? I guess it's technically flesh. This is beyond the scope of the project, but it could be that without the stimulus of an active brain, or more specifically, a healthy and active brain capable of face recognition and theory of mind, Whiskers began to pull whatever it can from the limited data available to it. Again, this is not our focus at this time, but I left a note for Dr. Hart just in case he wanted to take a look. What the fuck? All right, we gotta feed. Let's feed Grandpa. You guys wanna meet Grandpa? Hi, Grandpa. You examine Grandpa, noting its movements, respiration, and general mood. Hey, Grandpa, you want some blueberries? Grandpa seems sort of sluggish and bored. You get the feeling it might be more content and readily cooperative once fed and taught a word or two. Oh, we can get more food. Lettuce. It looks edible. Grandpa might like this. Ooh, a brown banana. It looks edible. Grandpa might like this. And then we can make food. Ah, okay, so hold up. A banana combined with fiberglass insulation? So wait, I can hide garbagey food in good food and trick Grandpa into eating it? The insulation is concealed in the browning banana flesh. Wait, but why would I want to do that? Why do I want to give Grandpa fiberglass? All right, we should feed Grandpa. Would you like to view the tutorial before you start? You will not be prompted again. Yes, teach me how to feed Grandpa, please. This brief tutorial will go over the basics of feeding Grandpa. Via induction of your unprotected insula, Grandpa has simulated the production of tooth enamel to mimic a human mouth. That's so awful. It will need to be fed through this in order to properly learn and grow. First, you will need to select an item from the lunchbox. Click on the lunchbox in the bottom right corner. The contents of the lunchbox will be displayed. Select an item from the lunchbox. Doing so will fill your hand with this item. Note that any food can be put back into the lunchbox by clicking on the lunchbox with a full hand. Before Grandpa can be fed, it must judge the food by its smell. Hover your hand above Grandpa's olfactory bulbs. I can't believe I had to read that. If Grandpa is pleased, it will allow you to feed it. Most foods Grandpa will accept. However, getting Grandpa to consume other things will require some culinary deception. When Grandpa is willing to be fed, hover your hand over its mouth and click. Grandpa will then consume the food. Good luck on feeding Grandpa. You approach the small window set into the jail bars. Oh, what? Click on Grandpa's nostrils left of its mouth. Oh boy. Should we feed it the concealed insulation to start? Maybe just some blueberries, dogs. No, we'll give him the concealed. Hey, buddy. Do you like this? I can't tell if I'm clicking. Oh, he ate it. Although quickly consumed, the meal seems to be causing some indigestion. And with a sudden lurch, Grandpa empties its stomach onto the floor. The contents pool together in front of the cage. Oh. I made him sad. Oh, I have to change. I see what I did. All right, we'll give him some blueberries. He was good and ate the fiberglass banana. There you go, Grandpa. The meal appears to have been sufficient. You step away from the window set in the bars, and Grandpa silently slides back to its corner. One digestible food and one other. Ah, okay, so I have to give him another good food. Grandpa recently emptied his stomach. Explore the basement. Is that coming out of Grandpa? The hairy thing that was here before is gone. The darkness of the shadowy corner. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Try going to Grandpa again to see what he vomited. Oh, examine stomach contents. Okay. Ooh. Still somewhat wet. All right. Grandpa was good, though. Sitting in the chair rocking is really upsetting. Is there nothing else? Nothing else. Let's get, he did a good, so let's give him another treat. I hate the mouth though. Can we agree that the mouth is the worst? What do you think? This smells good, huh, bud? It will sate its hunger, but that is all. Okay, so what if, how much more do you like cashews? Huh? Huh? All right. Well then, give me a second. Let me go explore the basement a little bit more. Oh. It's because I didn't feed it. It got mad. We've got a key now. So let's... Was it here? You try the safe's lock with the key you found. And it pops open. A photo of your mother as a young woman. Oh, check the battery? Oh, because he could like it, right? The recognition of this face kicks off a cascade of emotion and meaning deep within your psyche. Those aren't good things for me to do and then go see my friend Grandpa. But I guess we will. That's not what I wanted. Go to Grandpa. Let's see if he wants to eat a battery. If not, we're just gonna, we have to feed him twice. So we're gonna have to just, unfortunately, grimaces at the sterile. All right, so he doesn't want that. So he's gonna get blueberries. Cashews, I mean. What you think, Grandpa? Here you go, buddy. The meal appears to be sufficient. He grunts in appreciation. There you go, buddy. All right, now we gotta teach Grandpa words. Let's teach Grandpa. Vocabulary card for hello and for Grandpa. Why does this also have a tutorial? This brief tutorial will go over teaching Grandpa pronunciation and vocalization. The vocabulary word you picked will appear in the top left corner. In the bottom right corner will be a pentagon that is divided up into 8 sections. A section of the pentagon will be highlighted briefly. A notification sound will play, and soon another section will be highlighted. You will control a small round icon that sits above the pentagon using your mouse. The ball is constrained to the limits of the pentagon. The goal is to keep your icon over the highlighted area and move it as the area changes sections around the pentagon. When you hold left click above the correct highlighted area, the icon will start to vibrate along with the simulated vocal cords, and the current letter of your word will begin to turn red. What is happening? Keep holding over the highlighted section and adjust your icon as it changes place. Soon the letter will become fully red. After every letter becomes red, Grandpa will proudly pronounce the word, and it will be considered learned. Teaching Grandpa these words will accelerate its cognitive development and lead to further breakthroughs in general intelligence. You approach the window. Hi, Grandpa. I don't... This is so upsetting. I can't tell you how awful this makes me feel, because I have to look at the pentagon, but I can see its fucking mouth wiggling. Oh, it's so cursed. I don't want to hear it talk. Don't make me. Deep within Grandpa, strange membranes phonate confidently. Grandpa. Having completed the lesson, you take a look back at the back of the vocabulary module card and the notes that were written by the administrators of the past. Oh, so every time we teach a letter, we do get like the notes. Grandpa, part of vocabulary and vocalization module E81 family. General pronunciation comments, usual trouble with articulation, voice thin and raspy, possibly underdeveloped larynx. We have done several sessions with what we are calling familial relation simulation. I and a co-researcher sit in chairs opposite the enclosure. We are wearing the usual masks. And we begin to act out a scene, mostly through improvisation, that might roughly resemble a kitchen table conversation between an immediate family. You can see the nascent vocal cords flapping behind the pentagon. It's the worst. Repeated trials would reveal, although our simulated conversation was purposefully vague and unspecified regarding persons and identities, we would only address each other as brother, father, sister, etc. It soon became apparent that the encoded information and associations we unconsciously draw upon when hearing and speaking these words was picked up on by Whiskers and its psi-type field of reception, interpretation, or of brain/mind event/semantic content. This is written so bonkers. My co-researcher William noticed this in a simulation where Whiskers was given a role as a sister and he as a brother. I was the father. Whiskers began responding to certain prompts with unusual specificity, as well as a general pattern and timbre of speech that continued with unusual consistency. As soon as the simulation ended and we left the enclosure area, William let me know that Whiskers was almost certainly drawing from encoded memories of his late sister. Mapping out exactly what regions and centers of neural activity are intercepted by the psi-type field will take extensive neuroimaging that we do not have at this site. Currently, we only have less precise portable equipment. However, our experiences so far are eerily in line with the folk knowledge and folk explanations regarding the being's access to desires, and we can begin to infer it as access to certain portions of the limbic system and the ventral temporal cortex. You step away from the bars. Guys, listen. I'm pretty good at sight reading. It's one of the things about my stream that I think flows most naturally. This is the hardest game to read out loud I've ever played. Just slowly adjusting my lamps as the sun goes down. All right, we do have another word to teach Grandpa, as much as I hate teaching him anything. Hi, Grandpa. God. This is so creepy. Deep within Grandpa. Hello, part of vocabulary and vocalization module A2, conversational basics. Sloppy articulation was the pronunciation comment. We are already encountering some difficulty as Whiskers' subjectivity is so much determined by a diverse and dynamic array of influences. It attempts to mimic the thoughts and desires it passively intercepts, and these imitations go on to structure the basis of its identity. Only later in Whiskers' growth cycle does it begin to form an identity, or identities, that are coherent and capable of resembling a sane, rational human being when engaged in conversation. One must imagine how hard it would be to converse with someone who is not yet oriented in one particular way towards who or how they are, because they might have 20 different honest answers to those questions, all of them mixed and muddled together. Because of this, we have started with the basics of conversation: greetings, partings, identifying one another, forming questions, etc. It is fortunate Whiskers' current growth, number 19, I believe, has developed a mostly accurate human mouth simulation. Hello was a bit of a challenge in the previous growth, as it had failed to develop an adequate organ to act as a human tongue. Cool. I think we end week, yeah? I don't think I have anything else around the basement we can do. We're going to end our week. Weekly summary. Blueberries, fiberglass insulation, batteries, cashews, lettuce, banana, concealed insulation. Well, that's what we crafted. All kinds of shit acquired. Go to Grandpa. No, I already clicked it. Oh, I could have conversed with Grandpa. God damn it. I totally forgot about conversing with Grandpa. I fucked it up. All right, here we go. This is the inner Grandpa. With a great deal of effort, Grandpa's gurgles fragmented thoughts through its lips. Mother, will, Father, new lives out of air. The dark spiny filaments that make up the majority of Grandpa's body begin to oscillate rapidly. The air behind your eyes, I can taste it. Gross. With a great deal of effort. This thing is so fucking cursed. Skin, my body, all human skin around me. Give more, grow more to fit. Goodbye. Mrs. Richards approached me the other day in order to remark on Adrienne's development. She noted how much more at ease she appeared when called upon in class. Or when asked to participate in group exercises. I told her I had seen this change happening as well, and that as much as I would like to take credit for it, I can only guess dimly at what might be reshaping her attitude. Mrs. Richards posited that it was perhaps Adrienne's family moving into their grandfather's property that caused the change. It apparently is out in the country, in a wooded area full of wide open space and far from the bustle and noise of the city. The grandfather, Dr. Jacob Hart, had jointly purchased the land with the university he was employed with and began constructing what he was intending to be a satellite campus for a burgeoning psychological anthropology program he had a hand in establishing. Only one building ever ended up being constructed after Dr. Hart died in a car accident when driving back from the property one day. Eerily, at almost the exact same time, a grad student who was assisting Dr. Hart on some sort of project at the property vanished without a trace. So it sounds like he locked the place up because of the accident with the grad student and then died before he could fix everything. He mentioned that he was going to return and talk to everyone. And it sounds like he died on his way back. The property sat in disuse for years as it was tied up in legal battles between Dr. Hart's next of kin, the university, the vanished grad student's family, and the other students Dr. Hart was working with. Eventually, the case was settled out of court. Only recently did the property fall into the possession of Adrienne's mother. Obviously, I was not going to relay this whole tragic story to Adrienne, who, for all I know, believes her grandpa is to still be living in the basement of his home. Besides, I thought she might already know all of this. Perhaps the elaborate story she was always constructing was her own way of escaping the morbid details of a life, or perhaps lives, cut short by the cruel force of fate and the cynical adults who squabbled in the aftermath. I determined perhaps the storytelling she was and continues to engage in should not be encouraged by me, at least not in the way I went about it before, where I made active inquiries into her strange fantasy of a semi-sentient ball of skin. When I saw Adrienne, I did not bring up her grandpa or ask questions about his growth. Adrienne could not stop talking about it, however. I had no choice but to weather her bizarre and enthusiastic effusions about her new best friend. Okay. This is a lot. Adrienne, maybe we can talk about something else. I'm not sure I'm following you exactly. He's gotten so big. He has so many whiskers that come out, and I can see him move around when I think about him. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm so happy Grandpa is back. He's so much cooler than Mom and Dad. Is she... Wait. She's super nondescript when we're interviewing her. Is the psychologist face blind? Once again, for what it's worth, I have put down the story she told me as best I could. Adrienne once again told me about growing her grandpa. All right, so let's go in and see Grandpa and see if I can talk to him. Ooh, he needs to feed 3 times. Attempt to communicate, no response. Okay. So we got to get him fed up first before he'll talk. Also, he's looking hella cursed. Not interested in all of that. Let us explore Le Basement. The pulsating sack grows in this corner of the basement. It seems like it could easily be opened with a sharp edge. I can't use the key though, apparently. Give me all your trash. I found a thing. We did it. Great success. Oh, a kiwi. Let's go. Okay. All clean. Trash. Can I... Wait. Does even, like, the drawers... Oh, my God. They do. This is a weird choice to have me do this over and over every week in the same areas. Nothing special. I don't entirely know how much I love the trash removing, but I get the feeling that it is in service to the continued creepy vibe. Yeah, see, I never got a warning about... Oh, wait. This looks like the thing that was like the secondary growth that we read about. Alright, we found a note. We found what looks to be maybe another kiwi or a half a potato, maybe? Oh, that's right. I was like, wait, why does it look all wiggly again? Potato. We got it. Linguistics module, life. Wonderful. Wait, there's a bulbous growth over here now, too. That's interesting. There was definitely not a bulbous growth here before. Indecision. I think this is another classic example of me not even coming close to the time estimate for a game because of me reading out loud, by the way. I need a sharp edge. Maybe we gotta get Grandpa to throw up for us again. Some form of light. We need like a lighter too. All right, kitchen corner. Potato is softer than a kiwi? Are you for real with me right now? You're a joke. Oh, what do we got? A pear? Oh, Grandpa's gonna love it. And a strawberry? Grandpa, we got you, fam. All right, let's feed kitchen. Let's feed Grandpa up. But we want to get him to throw up first. Feed Grandpa. Give me the concealed battery, please. Got him. Enjoy, Grandpa. He's so sad. Sorry, buddy. But I gotta... Wait. Oh, I gotta go to Grandpa first. I feel like when you're done with Grandpa, you should just return to Grandpa. Skizzers, let's go. A bit rusty, but still perfectly usable. This might help you explore more of the basement, such as cutting open bulbous growths. Huh? Huh? We made an incision with the scissors. It is now possible to look inside. In the oily cavity, a powerful smell of rot arises, and many small increate beings lay motionless and dead. However, you just barely hear the near silent slithering of something. Or maybe it's your imagination. Okay, the trash removal mechanic makes more sense once you're doing this. That's why you gotta set it up with the trash, because then I'm forced to do this horror show. I could really do without the squelching sound. Oh, why are you moving? Anthropoid Remnant 1. A self-sufficient animal form knit together from years of ambient thoughts left to crawl around the basement. Grandpa may enjoy the flesh. We're not supposed to... Oh, conversation topic of little friends. We're not supposed to feed it flesh. Possible to take a look inside. In the oily cavity, okay. All of that's still the same too. Okay. So we can, I mean, we're definitely speeding up each week because we don't have as much basement to cover ground on. Hi, friend. I hate your face. That's awful. Anthropoid Remnant 2. All right. I've done most of the reading. I figured it would start to like ramp up. All right, let's kitchen corner. We have a pear now that is okay. So I don't want to feed him the pear because I want to keep that so that we can hide something in it. So we will feed him other goodies. Hey, Grandpa. You hungry? Hang on, we can go, well, let me feed him the 2 anthropoids first. Let's be honest, we know we're feeding this motherfucker the fleshy bits. Grandpa seems excited by the flesh smell. Oh, Grandpa, you like that, huh? I'm almost nervous. Should I not feed it the flesh early? No, we want a healthy grandpa. The meal appears to have been particularly well received. Your offering of flesh stirs something within Grandpa. From within the folds of its body, a wiry, proboscis-like appendage begins to emerge. It may be worth taking a look at this after the feeding. Knowledge you have recently acquired has given you access to a new conversation topic. Proboscis. Let's back out so that we can see the proboscis. Examine proboscis. You motion to Grandpa to approach and point to the thin protuberance. Grandpa silently ambles closer to the bars and fully extends it towards you. A minuscule needle extends from its tip. There appears to be one more thing you must give, if only for the sake of propriety. Yeah, we're just fucking feeding it our blood. Grandpa has appreciated your blood offering. It will receive a symbol or totem from you now, although only one per offering. As the blood-fed proboscis retracts back from the folds into the folds of fabric, you step away from the bars. Sweet Jesus. What are you whoopsing that we fed it our blood? No, that was calculated. We want a healthy grandpa. We're about to give this motherfucker another arthropod. Anthropoid. There you go. What do you think, buddy? Oh, his desire for flesh has been sated this week. Okay. Okay. Don't worry. The pear was what we couldn't use. I guess he's gonna get the lettuce and the kiwi. Indifferent. Bro, you also ate flesh though, so maybe chill out. Grandpa being a little rude right now. Grandpa, I mean, look, I get that it's not gourmet fine dining, but you're not exactly contributing to our monthly expenses. All right, let's teach Grandpa some words. We can teach him life. I hate the way it like comes over to you and then rotates into place. It's really upsetting. Strange membranes phonate confidently. Life. Life, part of vocabulary and vocalization module P29, concept formation. No comments on the pronunciation. At week 3 of growth number 24, Whiskers appeared to recall some information from a previous growth cycle. We cannot be sure this was really the case. For all we know, what we interpreted as it recollecting this information was really it drawing semantic content from one of our recollections of it and redeploying it without rationality or contextualization. Jesus, that would be hard for them to figure out. For the sake of our safety and for the sake of scientific inquiry, we are attempting to draw out from Whiskers whether it somehow retains knowledge from previous cycles in its morpholectic nucleus. We did not think it was possible the nucleus, though complex and incredible in its regenerative ability, was capable of this, and that the nerve network that grew from it made up the base of Whiskers' mind. And so we are now attempting to ask Whiskers, as best we can, if it has ever died, or what it might remember if it did. That's bonkers. Feed a grandpa, please. No, not feed a grandpa. Sorry, grandpa. I made you get out of your chair for no reason. He was so upset. He was like, God damn it. Let's talk about indecision. I thought that grandpa's just behind the bars yodeling at me the whole time we do this. Like just struggling to make any kind of noise that approaches any semblance of accuracy. Just doing like an endless groan. You can kind of hear it now. He's talking. Part of vocabulary and vocalization module F23, theory of mind, pronunciation comments, articulation problems, possible trouble with diphthongs. We are introducing the latest growth of Whiskers to more subtle social cues and testing its ability to judge mental states of participants in conversation. The semantic content that flows to Whiskers via its psi field is still becoming muddled and slipped without distinction into conversation, although our intention in instilling in it a solid theory of mind will perhaps make it begin to understand that we do not know what it knows or know what we are without our control sending to it. One would think a theory of mind seems to develop as part of its maturation process. In order to hunt sapient beings, it must be able to deceive them. In order to deceive, it must be able to make certain metacognitive judgments. For example, if their deception appears to be working, how one ought to be deceived. We may never see it develop a theory of mind anytime soon, as Dr. Hart has disallowed a cycle of Whiskers growth to live into the beginnings of maturity. Yeah, because Dr. Hart's not a fucking maniac. All right, let's talk with Grandpa. Hey, Grandpa. Grandpa accedes to your request. It approaches the bars and begins to unknit its skin. The inner Grandpa, though still not fully formed, is revealed. It may be fruitful to speak with it if it can respond. This is the worst. Grandpa still struggles somewhat to speak. Oh my God, it's got a fucking face and teeth now. No! Due to its underdeveloped tongue, mouth, and jaw. However, it manages to rasp out an answer. Hunger is not enough. On the walls of the cave, the Auroch can be hunger transformed. Desire is fulfilled by pain. Your grandpa doesn't have the right words. Right now, I can only say, I love you. Love is not enough, though. Desire is not enough. Project it outwards. Make it true to yourself, if only in symbol. Then it will be enough. For me and for you. What the fuck? I hate Grandpa. This is about his shell. Something to grow in. My skin is not the doll's skin. My skin is not like your skin either. I can still feel your eyes on me inside my shell. I have many eyes to see, but I don't need them as much as I need your eyes with which I can understand. as seeing me. There is a cycle of attention. You give me myself, but I am still not that. Slowly I form a human shape, and you see me more as human, and I become that. That's so wild. The biohazard bin. They kept putting me in a box, sleeping, and then set a light, and then in a box in the corner, in the darkness. Most of you couldn't read then. The scribe came and wrote what everyone said. They wrote on strips of bark with thin reeds. So this thing's been alive forever? No, it was not that. It was a paper posted somewhere. It had words to open the box. I was half dead in the box. The part of me that dies was put there for a long time. That part of me, and other things they threw in. A refuse pile, papers they discarded. Have I never gone through the biohazard bin? About language. Grandpa is old. My lives were easier before I made myself to speak, and before you made clothes to wear and rules to obey. Your grandpa remembers. I have learned much in many lives and deaths. Keep speaking with me. I love talking with you and learning from you, and it helps your grandpa so much. Soon I will be everything you would like me to be. That's the worst. Little friends. These are the little things we're finding in the sacks. The little ones, they grew like seeds off my skin. Worms fall off my body. Thoughts falling off of me. Dreams put there by others. When I was under the ground, I made only very few. Shepherds walked through the grave, and I saw them lusting for their wives, and my skin made their loving faces. Oh man, out here they're seducing shepherds. I called them out into the darkness with their loved voices. One by one, I took their shapes and their skin and their blood. That was a long time ago, before stone buildings, before the orders of angels and words and symbols. I'm sorry, Grandpa is thinking, but there's a little left over from others too. I'm still so hungry for flesh. Part of me is, I would even eat one of them that fell off of me. I can't help it. They grow off of me. They fall off and grow in the dark, grow around me. Let's talk about your proboscis, Grandpa. Yes, that is a part like a tongue. I was lost in the mountains and so thirsty. I was walking up a hill and found a lamb and drank from it with my tongue, and I fell asleep for a long time. I woke up as a half-formed child. I had died before. My grieving mother had remade me. We had made a contract and she completed it. I do not remember more. Yo, Grandpa's seen some shit. I think we've done just about enough. You examine Grandpa, noting its movements, respiration, and general mood. Grandpa appears content and ready to cooperate. I think we are done for the week. Let's override our save to be sure. Explore the basement. We already did that. We used the scissors to look around the basement. We don't need to worry about it. Weekly summary. A couple vocabulary cards, some foods. I want to get in more of this interview with Adrienne. The time I have to spend compiling an evaluation on Adrienne is almost up, and I still can't say what to make of her changes in mood. It is, of course, the case that children of Adrienne's age are nowhere near finished learning and growing. I may have to simply be happy that Adrienne was able to improve her attitude. However, something in the odd and occasionally grotesque stories she continues to bring up to me still strike me as meaningful. How's your week been, Adrienne? Grandpa's almost ready. He's almost finished. Well, sort of. He's almost as big as his shell now. He has a face, and he can talk pretty well, and almost has legs. I see. As before, I've put down the story she told me as best I could. Once again, Adrienne told me about growing her grandpa. Grotesque seems like a very judgy word. How dare they judge us? Look, he's not out here trying to make life hard for Adrienne. He's not trying to bring that smoke. He's just pointing out that this is grotesque. I think he just means the trash cleaning, right? Like, he couldn't be talking about Grandpa. Grandpa's not grotesque. He's beautiful. Grandpa's my bestest friend. He gives me meaning. Hit me with the top drawer. I just tried to pick up one of the weird face masks. I'm really uncomfortable about it. So we know we're gonna feed him one of the anthropoids. My hope is that we're gonna find something that we're gonna be able to... Oh, there's another bulbous growth over here. My hope is that we're gonna be able to find something to, like, get him to puke again. Because we need something to light up that corner. In an oily cavity. It's really upsetting to me how quickly this mini game of cleaning up all these nondescript, gross, fleshy bits became pretty mundane. Does not make me feel good. Hi, Anthropoid Remnant 3. Yeah, still nothing really else going on with the painting. That's kind of weird. Y'all ain't got trash skills like I do. Look at this. Look at this pro level clear. We have flatbread. Grandpa might enjoy this. So you just helped Grandpa with us proboscis and cleaning up? It's not such a big deal anymore. No, it's pretty chill. Life at Grandpa's house is pretty cool. I guess Grandpa's house is just my basement. I don't know if we'll find another anthropoid remnant here. That doesn't seem likely to me. I'm actually kind of surprised this has new flesh. You would have thought that this being severed would have killed it. Yeah, so nothing here. More notes. This is hopefully a word we can teach Grandpa in a minute. Ooh, what else we got? What's this up here? Mushroom, mushroom. Ooh, symbols. Okay. Anything fresh here? I wish some of this stuff would go away if it wasn't going to be pertinent anymore. But I guess I can't rule out like a potential return to certain items. The background, like, you'd think once you get all these gross fleshy bits up off the screen... Oh, it didn't tell us this was clean. Am I missing one? Ah, there's a weird one right on the fringe. You would think once you have all the gross fleshy bits up, that those cutaway screens for the bulbous growths would, like, not be as upsetting as they are. Totally not the case. They actually become more upsetting, which is in and of itself super upsetting. Bar soap. All right, cool. We can get Grandpa to throw up again now. Still can't go into Shadow Corner. That's cool. Don't worry about it. Grandpa, don't worry. We're coming, bud. I just gotta whip up some food for you real quick. Just gotta make your favorite soapy pears. The soap is concealed in the soft pear flesh. Grandpa. Oh boy, Grandpa. You are... Grandpa looks like a Resident Evil 1 cutscene, and I'm not pumped about it. Hi, Grandpa. I will give you this concealed soap. Yeah, I'll check the fridge again. I just want to make sure we want him to eat this and throw up before I do anything else. Contents are deposited. Let's go. Let's go, Grandpa Puke. Feeling okay, Grandpa? No? Flashlight? An older model flashlight still functioning. Let's go. What do we got? An apple? Oh, Grandpa's gonna love it. And a jackfruit? Grandpa, get so hyped, buddy. We don't have anything new there. All right, we finally go to dark corner. I wish we'd never come to dark corner. Oh, this is why I'd never looked through the bio containment. 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3? Oh, I thought I'd remembered it. I think I'm pretty close, actually. Study corner. Look over documents. Termination procedure. Blah, 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 blah. 323245. Okay. We're good. We're good. 3, 2, 3, 2, 4, 5. The lid unlocks, and with some effort, you move the heavy lid off the bin. Oh, nothing to throw away, just stuff to look at. A photo of your father as a young man. The recognition of this face kicks off a cascade of emotion and meaning deep within your psyche. I'm really upset by the implications of where we're going. A simple paper doll. Discourse on the subordination of hidden beings. A classic of alchemy. On the virtue of the prudent when dealing with devils, seen or unseen. These splendors and terrors of God's creation inhabit the world of both seen and unseen. And just as one will not grapple with a lion lest they be a fool, one will not approach a being of the mind or aether without foreknowledge thereof. There are beings with no form, hiding between towering columns of air, and only appearing by slipping into the heart or mind of evil and unclean men. But still are there more beings which straddle the realm between the seen and unseen creatures, creatures feeling through the air to see the heart or mind of men. It is only by God's grace and his angels and servants crushing these beings under heel that a magician might compel them to the magician's will, and so a magician must be perfectly clear and unerring in intent and ritual granted to us by God, or else the devils, seen or unseen, will devour them, that being their nature. On the nourishing of devils of a particular type. Certain devils of a particular nature are nourished by the element of fire, others by attention and prayer given to their idols, still others by stranger and more obscure means. By God's grace, the requirements of nourishing a devil as part of a contract only requires a token of these givings, that is, a symbol. If a devil hungers after flesh and would strip a man to his bones in its devouring, the devil's hunger and nature, which thirsts for flesh, can be held in abeyance in the ritual act of giving blood in only a few drops. However, the contract must be completed in full, for if the magician errs and does not provide in the devil instruction and guidance, the devil, once abjured to do no harm upon thee, will return to its devouring nature. Okay. So our grandpa rules, right? Grandpa is accepting tokens. Totems. All right, let's feed Grandpa needs flesh. He's so hungry for flesh, this grandpa. How about anthropoid number 2, buddy? There you go, bud. Are we gonna shake a proboscis? Let's go. Grandpa, you need some blood, buddy? I know how much you love your blood with your anthropoid remnants. Grandpa's accepting totems. Grandpa's proboscis is out. You motion to Grandpa. Hey, bud. How you doing? It's so unsettling. Grandpa has appreciated your blood offering. It will receive a symbol or totem from you now, although only one per offering. So I don't understand the symbol or offering. Feed Grandpa. You still gotta feed him more good foods. What do you think about this apple, buddy? Click on the glue. Oh, shit. I didn't feed him one last time. I didn't give him one last time. We could have made a different doll because we have 2 dolls and 2 photos, right? You like this mushy? Oh, wait, hang on. I gotta go see if any of them are soft foods. None are soft foods. We'll make our mom and our dad real quick. Tangible symbol of intention and desire. Am I gonna not have time to give him both of these? He said he would only let me give him one. Offer mother doll. You approach the bars and hold out the mother symbol you created. Grandpa's spines quickly reach out and envelop the doll before drawing back. The doll quickly vanishes within the folds of Grandpa's skin. Constructing and then offering your mother's image to Grandpa, symbolically sated by blood, instills in you a concrete sense of completion. Grandpa gives a soft, affirming grunt as it senses deep within your mind the ritual transformation of your desire. Although Grandpa must receive both a mother and father totem before the fulfillment of your wish is assured, but he won't take this one this time. Yeah, that's fine. We could do it next week. You want a strawberry, dog? Grandpas love strawberries. All right, meal was sufficient. Let's go. We gotta teach some words. I hate him towering over me. It's the absolute worst. He's so big. I legitimately just was completely biffing the mini game because I was completely entranced by looking at his mouth, and that is in and of itself a very upsetting prospect. What do you got for me? Meaning. It's part of module J11 for metacognition or higher thought. We further delve into abstraction with Whiskers, particularly, or partially, or perhaps for the most part, for the purpose of determining the origin of its recollections that precede its death. Dr. Hart has begun to theorize that in the process of death, the structure of Whiskers is compressed back into the metamorphalic nucleus, and then later, upon reestablishing the nerve netting that is laced through its spines, is slowly reassembled and redeployed as needed. It's okay to be distracted by your grandpa's mouth. Gross. I do not think this is the case, for I can plainly see that for growth cycles in which Whiskers is not receiving our pronunciation and vocabulary lessons, that its capacity general for comprehending its environment is greatly diminished. And in the simulated conversations we carry out, Whiskers struggles greatly or else does not participate. In any case, we will press on with our lessons and heed Dr. Hart's caution regarding terminating the growth cycle before Whiskers' allotted growth time passes, or if it appears to becoming just a little too competent at appearing human. I mean, so the mom and dad upstairs are definitely Whiskers, right? Right? Or maybe we're Whiskers. I don't even know anymore. I just know that everything's awful. Grandpa, I'm having a rough time thinking about the implications of this horror show that we're growing in this basement. Could I teach you about the word symbol? That would make me feel better. And then maybe we can go for ice cream. I hate Grandpa's voice so much. J15, metacognition and higher thought. General pronunciation comments, there is nothing. There appears to be nothing written here, or if there was, it was thoroughly erased. Okay. Both of my grandpas were dead by the time I was born. Is this what it's like to have one? It's pretty close. We haven't talked enough about how Grandpa smells. All right, we can observe him now. It looks like he is in a good mood. He's ready to cooperate. Let's communicate. The inner grandpa. Oh God, inner grandpa's so advanced. Oh, I hate it. Grandpa loudly, he's got fucking glasses. Grandpa loudly clears its throat before gently responding in a lucid, well-projected voice. Ah, you're asking me about your wish? When you wished for me to come back, that's when I knew I would. Your desperation was strong, and your wish for your parents, well, if you give me what I want, I'll give you what you want. You know I love you. I am for you whatever you want, and I love you just as much as you love me. But desperation and love is not enough. People deep down know they can't get what they wish for without some transformation. There is something that sits at the root of everyone's soul that understands the separation between them and eternity. You may desire something, but you know you will not get it without some movement on your part. So it is not enough to just wish, which you must know will not work. You must wish, and a little more, to transform your intention into something that might fructify? Fructify? Is it fructify? I never knew that was a word. Or for desire to become reality. I hate how your little arms wiggle, Grandpa. Let's talk about your shell, though. Ah, you're asking me about my shell. Oh, well, you see, I like to have something to grow in. Something shaped like a person. It just helps to have something surrounding me when I don't have skin. My whiskers do the growing. My whiskers? Yes, you know, the hairy little things. I am a part of it, and it is a part of me. However, my whiskers are what heard you wishing for me to come back, and so they went to work in the shell you provided. The shell also helps you envision me as what you desire. You have such a nice imagination. If I weren't in my shell, you'd have my whiskers exposed and knitting together my face. That might interrupt the feedback loop of my reading your desires, and then acting upon the desires I have read, and then once again reading your reaction. We wouldn't want that interfered with. The material of the doll you put down is a good fit. It's not the most comfortable, but it's quite flexible. And thankfully, my shell was able to adjust nicely to my growth. What about the biohazard bin, dog? Ah, you're asking about the medical waste bin. I believe it's locked up. I heard them punch in the code many times as they placed part of burnt up, dying self into the bin. They often forgot what the code was and had to go check on the wall where they were always taping up sheets upon sheets of information. So much so that the new papers would cover the old. What do you think you would find in there? Well, perhaps something. They did throw trash inside from time to time, bits of paper and so forth. I remember seeing a man who looked quite like me. His daughter had given him a photo of her new boyfriend. He threw it into the bin in disgust and joked with one of his colleagues. It may still be there for all I know. Okay, so mom and dad are real. Because he was recalling an interaction of the actual Dr. Hart. Ah, you're asking me about language. Well, the more you taught me, the more I was able to learn myself by hearing what you were thinking and saying. A week ago, I could speak a little bit, but I was less of what you imagined me to be, and not quite the talker I am at the moment. Part of what I am saying is, of course, made up of what you expect me to say. I think I'm very comfortable being open and honest with you because I'm your grandpa, and I love you, and certainly that makes up part of what I am. However, there is a part of me deeper down, the thing that created me maybe, that undying nucleus. It is answering for me as well, and is unaffected by whoever might shape what I become with their thoughts. Ah, you're asking about my little friends. Well, yes, they come from me. They grow around me in pockets of flesh and protoplasm. Think of them like dreams, maybe. I'll explain. Have you ever had a dream that was sort of like a bunch of people, places, and events you experienced? All mixed together and jumbled up. It's a sorting through and disposing of the refuse of the mind. My little friends are like that, refuse, and in ridding myself of them, I am casting off the excess material I did not use in developing life forms. Anyone who comes close to me, well, they are my eyes, my nose, my skin. Their thoughts become mine and shape what I make. However, when I was alone for so long, I didn't have a lot of people near me. What are you thinking and expecting of me? What you are thinking and expecting of me is shaping what I'm saying, how I'm saying it. Do you understand? And so, because I did not have enough input from my surroundings in order to put the material to use, the material falls off my body, crawls away, and usually dies. I'm able to make the most of my material when someone is looking right at me, projecting who I will be, like you are now. What you are thinking and expecting of me is shaping what I'm saying, how I'm saying it. Do you understand? Let's talk about your proboscis, Grandpa. Oh, you're asking me about my proboscis? It is just a little tube I keep to help me feed on blood. I love how open he's being. You could say it is my real mouth, but it's not really a mouth. It appeared because you fed me flesh. One of those little friends you found, I think. You feeding me flesh was a symbol, a proposition, if you will, that you wanted to hold up your end of the bargain with regards to your wish. If someone is willing to hold up their end of the bargain and let me feed on them with my proboscis, then they can move on to the next step of the agreement, providing me symbolic instructions. I hope that helps clear things up. Oh, you have another question? Do I like the blood? Well, my whiskers, I believe they like the blood and the flesh. It's strange. They are me, and yet they are now me. I am bound to them. They control me, and technically, yes, they did make me. However, you were the one who really grew me. In some ways, those whiskers, they are me, or a part of myself. Or I am a part of it. That part is much more animal-like. Whatever might happen, know that I will always love you, and because it controls me, I might not be able to act how I would like, even if I do love you. That doesn't bode well. That doesn't bode well at all. I think that's the end of our week. Nothing good is happening. Week 5. Who could that be? Oh, come in. Ah, Adrienne, good to see you. Aren't you a little early? No matter. I suppose I have some time now. How have you been? How's your grandpa doing? That's what I wanted to talk to you. Something happened. Oh, what happened? Nothing bad, I hope. No, nothing bad. Just different, I think. Maybe even good? Well, I'll tell you about it. Well, last night, something woke me up. There was this noise at first. It was like it came from the walls. I could hear it from my bedroom. But there was something else. Something calling. I could hear it just barely. I I was afraid somehow Grandpa hurt himself. I had to go find out. I went downstairs, and the vent, the place where I first found Grandpa, or what I grew him with, it was open. Oh shit. Do you remember how I told you about the vent in the ceiling? He gotten so big, he could have done that. Maybe he gotten trapped somehow in the vent. I had to go see. I got inside. I heard the calling again, more clearly this time. Grandpa was definitely in the vent somewhere. I could feel him hearing my thoughts. I got that weird feeling, a sense in the air. I had to go forward. This is awful. As I moved closer, the vent had stuff in it. The kind of slimy, hairy stuff Grandpa would leave around a lot. He was definitely close. Something was there at the end. Oh God. But it wasn't Grandpa. It looked maybe like he had made it though. It was slumped in the corner, had a weird mouth, and it had its lungs on the outside and drew in just enough air to call out. And then it just stopped. It stopped breathing. And then something was hanging over me. And then I woke up in my bed. In your bed? Adrienne, it sounds like it was just a quite dreadful dream. Are you all right, by the way? Your face is twitching, like you're about to have a violent sneeze. It's fine. It's just Grandpa, you see. It took me a little while to figure it out, but later, when I was brushing my teeth, I saw one of Grandpa's whiskers poking out just of the space under my eye. And I started to remember how, in the vent, he hid inside of me. It was so fast, I could barely remember, but soon I started to feel him sliding around in my head, behind my forehead, and behind my eyes and nose. It doesn't hurt at all, it's just ticklish. I'm glad I can be with him. Oh, I can feel him now. I think he wants to meet you. Part of him is moving down my arm. I'm starting to get worried, Adrienne. You really should not be twitching like this. I should walk you to the nurse's office. Come on, let's go. You should really meet him. I've told you so much about him. Here. What are you doing, Adrienne? You're starting to look very ill. Please, just wait. Just stay still. He's gathering, waiting at my fingertips. Why do you look like that? You don't have to be afraid. Look. Bruh. You got the failure of fulfillment ending. Okay, so since I didn't understand about how we were able to make the dolls, I wasn't able to give Grandpa both the mom and dad effigies. So we got the unfulfilling ending. What the fuck did I just play? That shit was wild. Congrats on getting the bad ending. I did it. Guys, I did it. I got the bad one. I feel very unfulfilled. I mean, we can't play again. You can certainly YouTube up the other ending. This was pretty neat. I'm gonna be honest, right? Like, it's definitely, I think, a game that would have been better played solo. I think that because it's so much reading and me reading it out loud is such a time sink, it kind of disrupts the pacing of the game to a degree. For a game that is supposed to be an hour and a half-ish, we wound up going over 2 hours. But this was neat. It's an interesting way to tell a story. It's definitely not my normal like narrative side of things, right? Like it's like Julie was saying earlier, it's got some SCP flavor, it's got some cosmic horror flavors, but it's neat and it's well made. So, and I think it's salad finger vibes. I could see that. I think it's a solo production too. I think Games does all his games solo, and that's impressive for a solo project. He's fairly prolific too. He's got a lot of games. Avoid suggesting book games. I mean, I'm still interested in playing them. There's definitely a case to be made for a game like this that maybe isn't the best streaming game, or at least for me to hit a timeline streaming with it, for me to play him and we can talk about it. He's solo. Your voice acting talent should be saved and better used for games with less text. I didn't really know what to think after we kind of like had the first basement scene and started to realize just how fucked up everything was. But it was cool to go through it.